What's going on, black people? It is Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. We have a good discussion today. We are here today to talk about this beef that is brewed between Joselyn Hernandez and Luenell and why it affects you and why it matters for you and all the black people everywhere. So be sure to come in, buckle up your seatbelts, hit the thumbs up button on your way in. So, for those of you who don't know, Luenell is the comedian. Luenell's in her 60s, I want to say. Luenell's a comedian in her 60s. And just like all of you at home that know anything about this, she has been devastated by the recent overdose deaths of some black celebrities in Hollywood. Just to name a few, Michael K. Williams died from an alleged overdose. Fruquan Johnson died of an alleged overdose. And then obviously earlier this year, DMX died of an alleged overdose. So that affected Luenell and that was weighing heavy on her heart. And so she put out this post. I'm going to share my screen with you of the post that Luenell put out and let's read it together. I'm going to make sure you can see it. Let's make it full screen. It says, have a drink, smoke a self-rolled or dispensary rolled joint, leave the effing syrup, Molly, and cocaine alone. You might be next, and all you were trying to do was party. This is no joke at all. The dope dealers are killing people, but hey, you don't have to listen to me. R.I.P. And she puts a couple caskets. So this is in reference to what has taken place with the different deaths of the celebrities, right? The Michael K. Williams, he was famous from The Wire, from the Fruquan Johnson, who was a comedian. And then earlier this year was DMX. And so she puts out this statement because, like I said, the dope is killing people. The dope is killing our people. They're lacing these drugs allegedly with fentanyl. Like, it is really killing these people. It's none of it's good. All of it's good. But see, what's really killing this people? What's really killing our people was the mindset of some of our people. Because when Luenell put that out, it triggered some folks to give her a nasty response. Now, I'm going to show you the response that came from Joselyn Hernandez. For those of you who don't know Joselyn Hernandez, trust me, I'm not surprised because I wouldn't know who she was until I was researching on this topic. Joselyn Hernandez is a reality TV show person. I think she was married or was dating Stevie J, the famous producer from Bad Boy back in the 90s. She's known really well in the reality show market, and I think she has her own show now. She was on Love and Hip Hop for a long time. So that's her connection to all of this. But listen to what she had to say in response to Luenell's comments and things like that. This is Jocelyn's response. Let me make sure you can see this. That's Joselyn, obviously the name right there. And it says, tell that fat hoe to stop eating. That can also kill you. She's a burger away from a heart attack. And you talking about someone just died for whichever reason that she's not sure about. It's horrible English, by the way. She doesn't speak English very well. She's not black. She's like Puerto Rican or something. Effing pig. Put the plate down. Pig, pig, pig. So, and this is why I called this meeting. I called all of us here today to talk about these kind of topics, right? Because it's that mindset right there. When you have someone who is out speaking against drug abuse, drug addiction, overdoses in our community that is killing our people, and you have someone denigrating and talking down and bad-mouthing them for no good reason. It has nothing to do with Joselyn. Think about this. Michael K. Williams, the comedian Mr. Johnson, and DMX or whoever has nothing to do with Joselyn Hernandez. They allegedly overdosed. Michael K. Williams was found in his apartment dead. DMX allegedly, we know he had substance abuse problems for years. And the Mr. Johnson was allegedly found dead off of a drug overdose. So this is hitting home in Hollywood. What's so sad is that there's people that actually agree with Joselyn. There's people that actually think Luenell stepped out of line. There are people that actually agree with this silliness, with this craziness, with this things that make no absolute sense. And here's the thing. We can't let that go unchecked. We cannot let that go unchecked. See, the thing about our people is we allow too many things and too many people to come infiltrate our culture, infiltrate the things that we do well, and then say and do whatever they want. And so they become just as bad, if not worse, than the white supremacist people that are white. Joselyn Hernandez is not like, she literally does nothing beneficial for our people. Absolutely nothing. And now she's out here putting out messages and attacking people. Now, Luenell don't have the cleanest history, right? Like, she's not the perfect ideal citizen. But when she actually is offering something, a solution to a problem, or trying to help out those who may need to hear it. Maybe they see Luenell's post when she has, millions of followers, right? Hundreds of thousands, 900,000 followers, and they see her post. Maybe that helps them that day, right? Maybe they decide to leave that stuff alone. But then you have silly idiots like Joselyn Hernandez who comes and makes fun of you because you want people to stay off drugs. Now, I believe that Joselyn and Luenell have a beef over something else, right? I believe she just took this time to attack Luenell because they have a beef over Joselyn's stupid show that she does on a network nobody knows of, right? That's what I think this stems from. But the simple fact that you would use this post, this incident, when drugs have been infiltrated into your communities for years, for decades, when drugs are killing your people and have been killing your people for decades, you would use this moment to decide to attack an elder. I mean, at this point, let's be honest, Luenell, she's in her 60s, she's an elder. This moment, the moment where she's telling people to stay away from cocaine, stay away from opioids, stay away from these things. The same things that are being rapped about, the same things that are being pushed in your music onto your children. You would use this moment, this one, to attack Luenell. That makes you a white supremacist. That makes you someone who doesn't, you are worse than white people. You are worse than white people in that moment because you are someone who people think they can relate to, who black people think they can relate to. You can't relate to Joselyn. You can't relate to Joselyn Hernandez, the stripper turned fake rapper turned whatever. Everybody, there's not a Stevie J that's going to save you like he saved Joselyn Hernandez. But so instead, you push these drugs and all of these things onto our community. You are worse than white people. You are worse than the white supremacists out there in the world. Point blank, period. There's no like people love talking about the white man and what the white man's doing to them and what's taking place. When you go after black folks that are trying to eliminate fentanyl-laced drugs that are killing our people from our community, you're worse than them. You are worse than them. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. Why does Joselyn eat? Why is she even relevant? We saw her comment. She had a blue check. Why is she someone that I even know about or that's even relevant enough for me to speak on in this capacity? Because white people have propped her up. How did she become famous, right? She was a stripper or whatever, and she was given money by white people to be on Love and Hip Hop and to act a fool and to barely not be able to speak any English, barely. She was dating Stevie J, the hip hop producer, and she was going on there. And we know Love and Hip Hop has set our community, the TV show has set our community back 50 years, right? It's like the worst TV show in the history of the world, right? So it's literally set our community back 50 years. And so she's been given a ton of money by white people to continue to hold us back. Continue to hold us back. And so that's why she's even relevant. And so what is her job? Her job is to make black and or brown people, I guess, look as silly and stupid as possible. I mean, that's the whole point of her existence in this space. And the same drugs that are killing your people, she's trying to defend. You probably know why, because she's probably on a few of them. I don't know this, but I'd imagine she's probably on a few of these drugs that Luenell was talking about. And that's why she went so hard. Besides, I think they have some kind of beef, right? Something, Luenell might have said something that made her mad about something, but she chose this topic to speak on because of the tension from Joselyn probably being on drugs. And so people, like, none of this stuff is coincidence. These things are killing your community. First, in the 80s, it was the crack epidemic. They pushed and pushed and pushed these drugs into your community. They fed them to you because black folks didn't have no planes to go to Colombia. Black folks didn't have no planes to go overseas, to Vietnam, to all of these places that provided the coca plant. Coca plants aren't made here. So it provided the coca plant. They shipped it in through the CIA, the government. I mean, this is known, right? Let me know in the chat that you know that this is true, right? Because this took place through the CIA. They got it to people like Freeway Ricky Ross and all of these different young hustlers just trying to make a buck, not realizing they were killing their community in droves. The same government that fed you the drugs didn't put a war out on drugs. They fed you the drugs just to put a war out on drugs and take you out. So you getting killed from both ends. You getting killed by the drugs and then you getting killed by the government. You getting killed by the government in both cases because they're doing a war on drugs, sending all your husbands, all your fathers, all your young men to jail and prison. And then they're also, for the ones who don't make it to prison, they're killing them with the actual drugs, right? So that took place in the 80s. In the 90s, you had the rise of rapping about drug dealing, right? The mass promotion of rappers who rapped about killing, stealing, and drug dealing. Killing, stealing, and drug dealing is the promotion. Pump all the money into the rappers who talked about that. That took place in the 90s going into the 2000s. Now we're in the 2010s, the 2020s. And now the mass promotion is still killing, dealing. It's not drug dealing anymore. It's drug using. The Percocets, the Molly, the syrup, the codeine, that is being mass promoted. That is what is being fed to your children. That is what's being fed through the airwaves. That is what, at every stage, there is someone trying to take your people out. And it's not by accident. And what they do is, so you don't think it's dangerous or poisonous, they put somebody that looks like you. They put the Joselyn Hernandezes to defend it. They put somebody that looks like you to promote it and make it seem like it's cool and make it seem like it's okay. In actuality, it's killing you. In actuality, it's killing your people. In actuality, it does nothing for you. So that's why I get so angry and I get so frustrated when I see a Joselyn Hernandez, who is not a Black American, who was the self-titled Puerto Rican princess who has been able to infiltrate our community, infiltrate our culture, and that wants to continue to keep this garbage going. She wants to continue to keep the same cycle. She is paid by white people. Let's make it clear. Paid by white people to keep the same cycle going. Because the thing about black folks, the one thing I can say about black people, we're so loving, we're so forgiving, and we're so quick to invite everybody to the damn cookout. Oh, that's a cool white person. What is it? They invited to the cookout. That's a cool Latino. They invited to the cookout. Oh, they got dark skin like me. They invited to the cookout. But instead, these people are smiling in your face to stab you in the back. Smiling in your face to stab you in the back because they are getting paid to be white supremacists. They're being paid to keep you in the gutter. They are being paid to keep you at the bottom. Folks is wondering. So many people are wondering. They thinking Joe Biden can change things, or some folks on the other side thinking Donald Trump could have changed things. No, the only people that can change things are you. But you have to wake up and see that this is the same cycle. There are literally people that think that things will change with the voting. You really think things are going to change with voting? By all means, go right ahead and keep on voting. They've been voting for a very, very long time, and I ain't seen much change. The change stops when you stop allowing people to infiltrate your culture and to teach you garbage and to teach you poisonous ways. It's like keep eating poison and wondering why you're getting sick and wondering why your people dying. You're feeding your people poison. You're allowing them to ingest poison, and it's killing them. If there's poison in the music, there's poison in the drugs, there's poison in the culture, It is literally, the thing is, people, and what's so crazy is people will defend this stuff. Oh, they're just a product of their environment. Oh, that's the way they grew up. Oh, that's, man, bump all of that. Like, there's a reason why you keep running a race and finishing in last place. You keep running a race and finishing in last place because everybody's walking around high and drunk and full of women. See, there's three things. There's three main things. Pay attention to me for a second. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. There are three things that will kill a man's money, man or woman. But specifically, I'm talking to the men because this is the Black Boss channel. There are three things that will kill a man's money: alcohol, drugs, and women. I had a story. I had a buddy of mine. Somebody that I knew. They got $1 million through a life insurance check because their parent, God rest their soul, passed away. $1 million. This person became a millionaire overnight when their mom passed away. She was a smart woman. They didn't need a GoFundMe to pay for her funeral because she invested her money and got a life insurance policy. $1 million. This person that I knew, I know them, blew through $800,000 of a $1 million life insurance policy. They had to use some of the money to go towards the funeral. $800,000. Blew through $800,000. And it didn't take very long. You want to know why? Drugs, alcohol, and women. Drugs, alcohol, and women helped them blow through $800,000 of a $1 million life insurance policy. They don't have anything from that money now. They literally have nothing from that. It makes absolutely no sense. So the longer we allow people with stripper culture and because think about this. Do you believe, like, and this is what I mean by we have to be on code and we have to call this foolishness out, because the longer we allow it to happen, the more it will happen. And we'll continue to run that same cycle. You ever seen a hamster on a wheel? We'll continue to be the hamster on the wheel. We'll continue marching, continue screaming Black Lives Matter, and wonder why nothing is changing. Because we allow, and this seems minor. This seems very, very minor. But as long as people from outside the Black community can continue to influence the Black community and say things of this foolishness, then we'll continue to be the hamster on the cycle. Because do you believe if a great white hope or a great Jewish hope or the great whoever, someone of Michael K. Williams' stature in the white community, right? Michael K. Williams, let's think about this. Michael K. Williams will go down as one of the greatest television actors in the history of television. The Wire is widely considered the greatest TV show ever. The Wire is widely considered the greatest TV show ever. And his character, Omar, for better or for worse, is probably the number one most recognized character. So think about this. You are the number one most recognized character on the greatest television show ever, and you die from a drug overdose. Allegedly. You died from a drug overdose, allegedly, and he spoke about his struggles. You died from a drug overdose. People are posting, please stay away from drugs. One of our kings, one of the greatest actors in the history of television, one of the greatest characters in the history of television, allegedly overdosed on drugs. Please stay away from drugs. And this non-Black person, let's think about this. Joselyn Hernandez, I'm reading, it says she is self-titled the Puerto Rican princess. Last I checked, that ain't Black. That ain't a foundational Black American, as Tariq Nasheed would say. She's not FBA, so let's use that. She's not FBA. She's deemed a Puerto Rican princess. Comes out and attacks an FBA member, a Black person, because she made a post about staying away from drugs. Because she made a post about staying away from something that has been a detriment to our community for years. Since at least the 70s/80s. Since at least the 70s and 80s. So we're talking decades, 50 plus years. And a non-F... Huh? Do you know what would happen if the roles were reversed? So let's use Robert Downey Jr. for example. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Like, share, subscribe. Robert Downey Jr. was once an addict. It's well documented. He's now Iron Man, but he was once an addict. He's a great actor that was once an addict. And imagine if Robert Downey Jr., instead of getting his life on track, or maybe got his life on track, but he fell into depression or whatever and allegedly overdosed, right? And a Puerto Rican princess titled person spoke out against a white person saying, please stay away from drugs. Say no to drugs. And a Puerto Rican person spoke out against them, calling them all kinds of names. Do you know what would take place? They would be canceled. Is the word people like to use nowadays. They would be canceled. But instead, when that happens to us, we just go around and act like everything's okay. I seen a couple comments in the chat saying, I didn't even know this took place. I didn't even know this happened. We've got to do better, guys. We've got to do better. And in the best way, and to me, that comes to stay away and to be able to get, it starts with getting on code. We must have our people on code, and we must call out the foolishness. If you step out of line, that is the thing. If you step out of line against a white person, they get you in line real quick. I.e., we got plenty of examples about that over the last year, whether it was Nick Cannon, Snoop Dogg, the Baby most recently. If you get out of line against white people, they get you back in line real quick. They got Snoop Dogg, they hemmed him right on up. They got Nick Cannon, hemmed him right on up. And most recently, they got the Baby, and the Baby done apologized about 4 or 5 times, and he's still trying to get back right. They get you right on up. So we must do the same thing when people attack our own. When people try to when people infiltrate our culture. First of all, we got to stop the infiltration. We got to stop inviting everybody to the damn cookout, allowing folks to do whatever they want to do and say whatever they want to say about black people. That's got to stop. That has got to stop. Because until that stops, we will continue to run the same circle. But that starts with you. That starts with you and what you teach your children and what you teach your family and what you pass down. And they might look at you crazy. And that's the thing. You start talking like this, a lot of black folk gonna look at you crazy because you're doing something different. You're not following the status quo. You're not trying to be marching and screaming 50 years from now the same things that they marching and screaming today, the same thing they was marching and screaming back in 1970, 1960s, 1970s. Think about that. Think about that. We are marching and screaming and praise worshiping and all of that stuff. Then we're doing the same marching and screaming 50 years later, 60 years later, to be honest. We're 50 years from 1971. So we're 60 years from 1961. So do you want to be marching and screaming 50 years from now in 2070? No. Part of the reason to stop, how to stop that? You quit allowing these people to infiltrate your culture. You quit allowing these people to get checks because they act black. Whatever the hell that means. You know, acting black means ignorant. Oh, she acting black. You trying too hard to act black. All that means is you acting ignorant. Think about that. Acting black, acting like you is acting ignorant. Nah, we can't allow that stuff anymore, guys. We can't allow that stuff. I was listening to Malcolm X, and part of that, I was listening to Malcolm X earlier, and part of that is becoming a free people. And freedom isn't free. And you don't get free peacefully. He said freedom isn't free, and you don't get free peacefully. And what I mean by that is that we have to, and I'm not advocating any kind of violence. Let's put that out there. I'm not advocating any kind of violence. But freedom isn't free, and you don't get freedom peacefully. So what I mean by that is that even if it's through independent media sources, but really it starts at home with you. You go home, you teach your family, you teach your children, you teach wives, you teach your husbands, you teach your wives. Hey man, we can't allow this. This same mindset, this same thinking that has kept our people in stagnant or in reverse for the last 60 years, it's got to go. 60 years ago, our people had more money. Our people owned more land. Our people were in better economic shape than we are today. And part of that is because we allowed too many people, we invited too many people to the damn cookout, and they've infiltrated our culture and kept us in stagnant or in reverse over the last 60 years. But that changes today with you. Once again, I'm Jeff Lighty Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and I am out. Appreciate it. Peace.